we all know, everybody knows by now, Draymond Green last night in a pivotal game that the Warriors were able to win despite his absence, he was suspended, ejected, I should say, 3.5 minutes into the game. Steph Curry was beside himself, may have even been crying, was tearing up, was emotional, whatever it was. And Steph ended up making the couple game-winning baskets toward the end. But it was, everybody knows by now what happened. There's no defending Draymond Green. It was selfish. It was terrible. It was juvenile. It was indefensible, as I said. So let's move on a little bit. Let's take the story a little bit forward. Jay Williams, the former NBA player, now on ESPN as a commentator, does a great job. He said this, Martin, about the after effects of Draymond Green's ejection. Here he is.
I'm getting texts from people that I value their decision, right? High-level people. And what these texts are reading is, well, how about the leadership of Stephen Curry? That's where these conversations are going. And in my brain, right, processing information, Molly.
Wait, what do you mean? How about the leadership of Stephen Curry? They're calling Steph out?
Yes, right? For him not controlling Draymond. Draymond Green is diminishing the ultimate legacy of how people are looking at the leadership of Stephen Curry.
All right, let me start here, Martin. This is a great topic. One, I think Steph is a terrific leader. I think he is a leader like Tim Duncan was in San Antonio. Doesn't talk a lot, not very emotional for the most part. He was emotional last night. But he set the culture. He led in a way that set the culture for that dynasty. Unselfish, team first, work hard, all of that. That is Steph Curry. Like Tim Duncan set the culture for the Spurs. Steph Curry has set the culture for the Golden State Warriors. I also think that great leaders, even if you are a great leader or under great leadership, stuff can still go awry. All right, Michael Jordan was a great leader. Dennis Rodman still had his madness about him. All right, LeBron James has been a great leader, is a great leader. Kyrie Irving still wanted out. All right, you've still had teammates, rolling their eyes at LeBron and things like that. So Greg Popovich, great leader. Kawhi Leonard still was like, I'm out of here. So you can't always blame the leaders. And what I will say, though, and I don't limit this to Steph. When I'm talking about Steph, Martin, I'll say one thing last night that I saw. And I don't know. I mean, we know Draymond sucker punched Jordan Poole. Mm-hmm. But I feel like, and I believe, he has a ton of respect for Steph Curry, both as a player and as a man. And when Draymond was speaking to the ref yesterday, after the first tech, and Steph purposely was standing there right beside him, kind of trying to, there to kind of help keep Dre cool, he should have hugged Dre. Notice I'm not saying grabbed him like violently, but hugged him and walked him away. All right, bro, we good. We got a game to win. Let it go. Now, again, I don't know. I know Draymond, but I don't know him like that. Would he have gone off on Steph in some way? Possibly. He did it with Kevin Durant, right? So I'm just saying, when I looked at it, that was what I thought. So that would be the only criticism I would have last night. It's not really even a criticism. It's just something I looked at like, this could have been done. And then I do agree, and then I'm turning it over to you. The Warriors as a whole, the franchise as a whole, has enabled Draymond Green too much, and they are culpable to some degree. When they did not suspend him at all for punching Jordan Poole, that was a weak move to the highest degree. And so they are culpable to some degree. He obviously bears the brunt of the blame. But yeah, there's some culpability with the organization for sure.
First of all, it all started to me, or I should say this, it all absolutely fell off the rails with the punch. And I don't care what anybody said, but that team only won like, I think, 11 road games in the regular season after that. They were 500 after that. Why? Because they didn't like each other. The team was falling apart, right? Like, that's pretty much what happened at that point in time. Yeah, Steve Kerr saying, oh, you know what? This is like one of the worst things I've ever had to deal with and all this and that. And my take at the time, and still to this day, is if somebody came into here right where I'm sitting and punched me in the face and nobody who's above me, none of my bosses, none of my managers did anything about it, I'm going to be furious. I'm going to assume that y'all don't like me very much because it's not my job necessarily. I know everybody's saying like, oh, how come Jordan Poole didn't fight back? Look.
Well, one, he was knocked out. I mean,
that's also
real
too,
talk.
You don't expect to get punched in the face at work. Like, we all play Little League basketball, high school basketball, whatever, sure. Maybe you got an altercation here or there or something like that, but not at work. Not at work. You rarely are ever getting beat up at your job. You know what I'm saying? Unless your job is a sparring partner for Mike Tyson or Jake, or you know what I'm saying? Something like that. At that moment, when there was no punishment of note, when he was still able to go do the ring ceremony, still able to go do everything, and it was just fined, it was a tacit acknowledgement that we are okay with everything that you're doing. And wait, like, they can come up and say all they want to say, talk all they want to talk, but if you're not going to actually punish a guy or show some level of this is a detrimental behavior, this is your punishment as a result of that, then this is what you're going to see. This type of stuff. It's too far gone, in my opinion, for even a guy like Steph to try to wrap him up in the moment. Because I agree with you.
Well, I'm just talking about that one moment, but I hear you.
But like,
big picture, yes.
The time for that was well before this because, I mean, this is the second time this season, Chris, he's been ejected in the first quarter of a game. This season. And it's like we're so numb to it overall, and people will turn around and say something like, oh, he should get some help, he should do this, he should do that. Like, if he's doing the things that he does in basketball games, both to the officials and to some other players, in the real world, he'd be before the judge. Right? Like, that's not the
right.
So, like, so you can't tell me that he can't, like, you can't tell me that. Like, and plus, too, honestly, I fully believe that if you get ejected 3 minutes to 30 seconds into the game, you had a plan. Like, you either you had a plan.
So you think he didn't want to play?
I don't know what it is. I don't try to make sense of crazy. You know, like, I think there's something off there in terms of his just.
Well, that's another thing, too, because Draymond, if you remember, after his incident with Jusuf Nurkic and he was suspended by the league, he got mad because Nurkic said, you know, I don't know. I hope that brother get the help he need. And then KD basically said the same thing. And Draymond copped an attitude. Got on his podcast talking about how dare they question my character. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said.
Right.
All right. Draymond, I don't know whether you need mental help or not. What I will say is this. People that need, I mean, nowadays, you know, they throw everything in the mental health category. I didn't feel like going to work today. Maybe I need mental health. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about real mental health issues. Is a person that cannot control their emotions and their mental well-being, if you will. They can't control it enough to function in normal, polite society. At a corporation, at a job, at a school, in the house, whatever it might be, with your family.
Like when Draymond goes out to dinner, like when he goes out to dinner, he's not cussing out the waiter who comes and brings him the wrong order.
But
like,
my point is, he cannot function clearly. He can't control his emotions enough to function in a quote-unquote normal basketball game. He can't. I think there are times, you know, he may pick and choose who he's going to mess with. He probably does.
I think that's
so I do think you can control yourself. But I'm saying if he thinks he can, then show us. Jumping bad on your podcast, that doesn't show us. Doing it again every 2-3 months, that doesn't show us. If you want us to believe you don't need mental help, then stay on the court, play the game like everybody else and control your emotions.
Yeah, to me, the blame is at this point. It's on the Warriors. It's on the Warriors because Draymond Green at every stop of the way over the last really since the LeBron Finals incident has shown this is the type of player that he is. He's hot-headed. He's loose cannon, whatever you want to call it. He plays, dirty, and he's always yelling at the referees. This is the type of player he is, and then he'll go back and try to justify it in some way or some form or fashion. Like today, he's talking on this podcast talking about, I was trying to angle my body and this and that and the third. There's no explanation.
But that shows you right there, like, a failure to acknowledge when you're wrong, and when you say, I was wrong, I deserved it, but then in the next breath you try to justify it, that's really not admitting you're wrong. And a failure to be able to admit when you did something wrong is childish. That's children.
It's the difference.
An adult should be able to say, you know what, I was wrong. I did the wrong thing. I got to own that.
Chris, it's the difference between saying, I'm sorry for this and saying, I'm sorry my actions made you feel this way.
Yes.
It's the difference. There's a very big difference between those two.
I don't want to get in trouble, but my wife, that's why I be telling my wife, look, don't tell me you're sorry that I took it the wrong way. Tell me you did the wrong thing.
Exactly.
You said the wrong thing. You're absolutely right. I hate when people do that. I'm sorry if it offended you. Well, you're not really sorry. You're saying I got the problem, right? Because I was offended by what you said or did. Come on. Now, I agree. Look, I think the lion's share is on Draymond, but the Warriors cannot escape. And I wouldn't be surprised if these conversations have taken place behind the scenes, Martin. But the league needs to tell the Warriors, look, what are y'all doing here? You pay this man. Will you take control? Will you be the grown-ups too? I mean, come on. If I come and punch you out, Martin, and don't get suspended, I mean, yeah, I'm to blame, but so is Fox Sports Radio.
Somebody got to do something.
Come on.
I think that's probably why Bob Myers is sitting on an ESPN TV set right now instead of back there dealing with this. He saw the writing on the wall and said, yes, I can get up out of here right now while the real estate's still good.
How much are the Warriors to blame for Draymond Green being out of control?
Let's kick it to Chad in South Dakota. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What you got, champ?
Hey, gentlemen. Good evening. Always enjoy the show. I would say that, ownership has got very little power. Governors, right? Very little power. The coaches have very little power. The NBA has the strongest players' union. Let's put a little bit on.
Baseball has the strongest. NBA would be second ahead of football.
Well, we could say the same for MLB if Draymond was a baseball player. If you got a strong union with great responsibility, with great power comes great responsibility. So mind your own a little bit, right? And police your own and say, these are the rules of engagement. This is how we will act.
So you're saying the players union should, which obviously defends the players, you're saying they should step in with Draymond.
Absolutely.
Well, look, there's a reason that's not bad because Martin, their job is to protect all the players.
Absolutely.
He could hurt somebody. So they should step in. I agree.
He has hurt somebody. He's already hurt somebody. Sabonis had his ribs wrapped up that whole playoff series after that. And also, too, the owners do have a little bit of power, seeing as they could just not giving him $100 million after.
Well, that's the thing. Afterwards, they gave him a 4-year, $100 million.
They could have just not given him that contract.
Right.
But Gary in Houston, you're on the Odd Couple. What's up?
Yeah, so first of all, I feel really bad for Steph because he was crying like they just built some affordable housing in his neighborhood. But
Wow.
but as far as Draymond goes, yeah, I blame the Warriors because they have the ability to stop this, and they're just choosing to look the other way. I mean, he punched Jordan Poole, and they got rid of Jordan Poole. So what does that tell them? They're telling them, you're too important for us. You're too important.
No, and look, that's been the thing in sports since time immemorial. If you can play, you can get away with a lot more than someone that can't play. That's just how it's been. But the thing is, they're not winning the championship anymore. Not with this squad.
Nope.
So Draymond, to me, Draymond's expendable because at best they're going to make the play in and get bounced pretty early.
You want to get one more in, Chris?
Let's go. We got it. Yeah, we get one more.
All right, Tim, California. What you got, champ?
Listen, this exposure Steph is not a great leader, and losing does that to our aging superstars, right? Like Mikey and Wizards and Kevin Durant in the Phoenix. Like, when your leadership doesn't equate to winning, of course your leadership gets questioned. And Steph should be calling this stuff out way before this year. But since they're losing, it's exposed. Because he's cost them many championships. Draymond ran Kevin Durant out of the organization, which they would have won, 4, 5 more championships? Let's be real. It's incredible. But Steph is likable, so it's hard to question a likable superstar. But his leadership has always been, why doesn't he just step to Draymond? But that's all I got, bro.
See, for me, Chris, what I think what we saw last night was Steph at his wit's end. But you don't get to your wit's end unless you have tried numerous other things to try to ensure that Draymond doesn't do this type of stuff. I think he has had these conversations behind closed doors and will have his back publicly.
Yeah, they are close. So I'd be shocked if he hadn't. Now, he may not have come down on him. He probably didn't. But I'm sure, like you said, they've had these conversations.
Because
to
me, it just
we need you, bruh.
It was just, to me, it looked so frustrated he didn't know what else to do. Like, that's what I think if you get to that point, it's because you have tried to talk to him 8 ways to Sunday, and none of it seems to be registering or racking in his brain.